Good afternoon, everyone. I'm meteorologist Rachael Jay. We're coming on the air for a tornado warning on the eastern shore for areas of Queen Anne's County. Again, a tornado warning is in place for Queen Anne's County right now. Let's go ahead, get a look at the radar. We're going to get the radar moving here as soon as it can load, just to show you what is going on out there. Outside of this tornado warning, we're going to watch an area of some storminess that's a little bit off to the west. So we've got a break in the storminess between a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings in northern Virginia, and then another one as we are looking into areas of Frederick and Montgomery counties, and of course the tornado warning that we are on the air for, and that is affecting areas of Kent and Queen Anne's County. So you do see there's a lot of areas that aren't dealing with rain showers right now. However, we are watching these storms that are slowly popping up across some parts of our region at this hour. So let's go ahead and zoom into this tornado warning that is currently in place. Going to head over to the eastern shore and get some more information on that. Put a pause on this and let's see what's going on with this tornado warning. This goes until 3:15. Radar indicated tornado. So right now I'm not seeing any indication that we do have an official tornado on the ground, but there is rotation with this storm that the National Weather Service has seen and indicating that we do need to be watching this. So again, this goes until 3:15 this afternoon. So I'll be with you for the next 25 minutes, keeping you updated as to what is going on. And it does look like, coming in from the National Weather Service, yes, we have a severe thunderstorm watch in place, but they're also going to be issuing a tornado watch for areas of Carroll, Montgomery County, and points eastward. So we do also have that severe thunderstorm watch in place, but it does look like we are going to also have a tornado watch that is going to come up. So that just means that the atmosphere is ripe for some storms to try and spin as we go through the next few hours. We have issued today as an alert day, so hopefully folks have prepared for severe weather for today as we were anticipating, and now we do have a few storms that are starting to fire up. So let's go ahead and check on the velocity with this storm, and it does look like we have an area of some green close to some red. That's what we call a couplet. I'm going to point this out to you so you know exactly where I'm watching. So we are keeping an eye on this area here of green right next to this red area. So we're looking toward Johnsontown, Cliff City, Pomona, Quaker Neck Landing Road are all included in this area under the tornado warning. And this is a specific area of rotation that I'm watching as far as this potential tornado goes. We are keeping an eye on this as well as more widespread threat for some stronger storms. So let's go ahead and see if there's anything being thrown up in the atmosphere. This is something called correlation coefficient, and that shows you that something is a different size than the other things around it, and which at this point would be raindrops, as there is some rain coming down in this area of this tornado warning for Kent and Queen Anne's County. So there's not an area of one color surrounded by another that would kind of demonstrate that, yes, there is something being thrown up in the atmosphere at this hour, but something to keep an eye on. So let's go ahead back to the radar just to show you that we do have a little bit of storminess in this area of Kent and Queen Anne's counties. Again, we're watching a specific area where that rotation is, but some very heavy rainfall, some lightning also coming down with this stormy area as well. So quite a few things to watch as we're heading into the afternoon hours, or rather heading toward the evening hours. We are going to be monitoring for more potential storminess, not necessarily widespread tornado warnings, but we could see one or two more, along with the risk for some severe thunderstorm warnings as well. So right now we've got a severe thunderstorm watch in place along with a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings, but of most concern, and with this latest sweep, I'm going to zoom in just west of Pomona. We are watching this area, Quaker Neck Landing Road. If you're near that, if you're near Pomona Road in Pomona, just to the south of Remington Farms, we're watching this area in here for potential rotation. And you can see what we call a hook echo when this area here comes down and tries to circle counterclockwise, excuse me, you see how this yellow area is coming down to the south and then down to the south and east. That's what we call a hook echo. So that's the rotation area that we are watching within this tornado warning. Again, this is for Kent, Queen Anne's counties, areas like Johnsontown, Pomona included in this. To the north of this rotation, we've got a good deal of lightning in place up towards Langford, Chestertown, Foxley Manor, Fairleigh, up towards Morgneck, also dealing with some of that lightning and heavy rainfall right now. But I think those areas that I just named, they should be okay. They are away from this rotation right now. However, this storm could be moving off to the north and east. So let me get some information on that just to get some timing on how fast this is moving. So this is moving east at about 20 miles an hour, this storm that we're watching for a potential tornado. And they have just taken back that tornado warning. So areas in western, far western areas of, let's see where we're looking here, of Queen Anne's County, or excuse me, Kent County, you are now no longer in that tornado warning. However, we still do have a very pronounced hook echo. Again, that little bit of some storminess that has come down to the south and east. This is the area that I'm watching just to the west of Pomona, south of Langford, north of Johnsontown, as we're looking towards Kent and Queen Anne's counties. So this is the area that we're watching at this hour. We do also have another storm for Frederick and Montgomery counties, a severe thunderstorm warning that is currently in place. It has a tornado possible tag, so that storm could try to rotate, as well as this one that is trying to rotate. Let me just go back to the winds within this storm to see what is going on. We've got a lot of bright greens, which is indicating winds moving toward the radar site, which is east of where we're looking right now. However, we're not seeing too much in the way of bright reds next to it like we were a little bit earlier. There's a little bit of some red here trying to bump up against these brighter colors around Quaker Neck, Landing Road, Johnsontown, Pomona, Route 289. Those areas, if you're hearing me, make sure you're getting to your safe place. And a safe place for you would be lowest level of your house, away from doors and windows. That is where you need to be. Turn the TV up, turn the CBS News app up so that you can hear what I'm saying, where you need to be, and for how long. We still have 15 minutes on this tornado warning, but I do want to reset just to show you what's going on elsewhere. There's not much going on. We've got a few storms out there. I want to take you a little bit to the west on the other side of the bay. Frederick and Montgomery County under a severe thunderstorm warning. Parts of Frederick and a small portion of Montgomery County, I should say, under this severe thunderstorm warning until 3:15. And this does have the potential of some rotation within this storm. However, it is a severe thunderstorm warning, so it's been issued for straight line winds, which we have seen can cause just as much damage as a weak tornado. So we'll monitor this as we continue through the afternoon, and as we are also keeping an eye on more storminess trying to fill in. I'm going to go ahead, put the loop on. You can see these storms, they're moving pretty quickly, which is good news. They're also coming with quite a lot of rainfall as they're continuing to push off to the east. But with the fast motion, we're not going to be too concerned with the threat for flash flooding because that rain just sits over one spot. So a quick moving bout of some very heavy rain is what you can expect as these storms are continuing to push off to the east. And we're starting to see those filling in just a little bit. But I want to take you to the reason why we are on the air right now. A tornado warning in place for the next 17 minutes or so. We're still seeing that little drop down area, that bit of a hook echo with this storm just around this area west of Pomona, south of Langford, Chestertown. You're under the sound of my voice right now because you are in that tornado warning. Right now, however, you are dealing with heavy rainfall and lightning. I'm pretty sure that the rotation is to the south and east, south and west of you, but you still need to be in your safe place just in case this takes a jog to the north and east. It's forecast to be moving at about 40 miles an hour or so to the east, but if it wants to move a little bit to the north, definitely these storms can do that. If it decides to do that, you need to already be in your safe place. I want to look at the debris signature once again. just to see what is going on, and it doesn't look like we're seeing any areas of debris being thrown in the air around where that hook echo is to the west of Pomona, which is good news, but there is still some sign of rotation within this storm cluster for areas of Kent and Queen Anne's County. However, I'm not seeing an area of blue or an area of red surrounded by other colors. So certainly some news there, but this storm is trying to rotate for sure. So let's look at another tool that we have here, showing a little bit of something, but not too much there. So certainly good news, hoping that there's just this storm is trying to rotate and that it doesn't actually drop a tornado. But staying with you for the next 15 minutes as we continue to monitor this tornado warning. And just within the last minute or two, we have received update that we are under a tornado watch. So I want to go and show the watches that are currently in place, and then we'll get back to Kent and Queen Anne's counties in just a second. So it does look like, let me find a different graphic. This isn't showing up quite correctly, or maybe it hasn't loaded into the system. That can happen as well. Sometimes we do have to take a second or two to get some of these graphics to load into our system. So let me see if it has filled in just yet. So we do see that tornado watch in place until 10 p.m. for the Eastern Shore, and I think we're just going to have to wait for the rest of those counties to fill in that are included in that as well. So we'll just wait on that for a second. Let's head back to the radar. That's the real reason that we're on the air, is for this tornado warning. Kent, Queen Anne's County still under a tornado warning for the next 15 minutes. Now the good news is I did see some rotation with that storm. However, it looks like that rotation has broadened up a bit, but we still do have something of a hook echo with this storm, but that even looks like it's broadened up a bit, which means that the rotation is broadened. And what that means is that it's not as tight. So there's a little spin in the atmosphere, but not that tight spin that you would expect from a funnel cloud, from a tornado once it reaches the ground. So certainly some good news there. Keeping an eye on areas around Pomona, north of Wilmers, Chestertown. You're still in that tornado warning. Morgue Neck, Wilmers, Churchill, Ewingville, all included in that as well. I'm going to continue to zoom in. Let's get to street level just to see which roads are included in this. We mentioned Quaker Neck Landing Road. This storm is now just to the north and west of you, but you still stay in your safe place. We've got lightning with this storm. I've mentioned a couple of times that we do have lightning with this storm, and lightning can travel 10-20 miles away from its parent thunderstorm. So just because it may have quieted down in your neighborhood, take a few extra minutes, take a couple of beats before you head outside to see what's happened in your area. All right, Chestertown, we're going to go ahead and zoom in, talk about some of this heavy rainfall that's coming down towards Route 289, Route 213, towards Kingstown, High Street. Some very heavy rainfall in those areas that we're continuing to monitor. Muirfield Drive also included in that. Again, Route 289, Pomona Road, dealing with some of that heavy rain, and it does look like the western part of this tornado warning has once again been shaved down. Langford, Cliff City, you are no longer included in this. Starkey Corner, our neighbors in Starkey Corner, 213 around 405 down towards Browns Corner. This storm is north of you. You're still in the tornado warning. However, the storm of concern is just to your north. So you should be okay. I would still stay in the safe place for the next 10 minutes until this tornado warning is over. However, the storm that we're watching right now has slightly shifted to the north. So we're looking at areas around Pomona and to the east of Pomona, between Pomona and Ewingsville, Chestertown, Morgue Neck, those areas. That's what I'm watching for the most concern. And I want to go back to looking at the winds within the storm to see if those winds may have tightened up a little bit. There's still some signs of rotation within this storm. However, I'm not seeing the bright reds and the bright greens that I was seeing before, but certainly some rotation trying to happen here within this storm. We've got the bright greens around Pomona, Pomona Road, still close to Quaker Neck Landing Road towards Rolfs, and you can see Riverview and Churchill all in that area. But not much in the way of tight rotation, bright reds, bright greens right next to each other. I'm not seeing that, which is good news, that maybe we did not have a tornado on the ground and this storm was just trying to spin and didn't actually get anything going. That's what we're hoping for to reduce the risk of some damage. And you can see there we're looking at Maryland 213 at Sassafras River. Some clouds out there. Doesn't look too terribly windy at this point. However, we are still monitoring. Things can change very, very quickly with these storms. So we'll have to watch out for that. Again, that is Maryland 213 at Sassafras River. So we're watching Riverview, around Pomona, around Rolfs, Chestertown, mostly dealing with heavy rainfall right now. Up towards, we're looking at Route 291, High Street. We've got 20 over there, 514, all included in this area of a tornado warning. We're looking at a lot of heavy rainfall within this storm, and I'm going to check in with the National Weather Service very quickly to see what they may be talking about as far as this storm goes and any other storm that we are dealing with. It does look like around 3:02, that was back towards Delaware. Funnel cloud reported around Dover Air Force Base, but that is of course in Delaware and not on the eastern shore of Maryland, where we are concerned with as far as this tornado warning goes. Some good news though, that hook echo not as pronounced. We are still dealing with very heavy rainfall and a number of lightning strikes. However, as far as the hook echo, as far as the rotation showing up on radar, as far as a debris signature, I'm not seeing that within this storm. Yes, we still have a little bit of rotation. Yes, we're still under this tornado warning for the next 10 minutes. However, it does look like that threat has come down just a little bit. Now, let me look at this. Rotating wall cloud near Starkey Corner, Maryland, reported around 2:57. So there was some storm rotating in Maryland, and they're continuing that tornado warning due to that. That was reported just before the top of the hour. Again, there was a rotating wall cloud around Starkey Corner in Maryland. So continuing with that tornado warning, I'm not seeing any indications that they may be continuing this farther to the east over towards Crumpton, Sudlersville, Barclay. Heads up, they may be extending this tornado warning. I'm not seeing any indication of that or of them wanting to take this down. However, if you are downstream of this, I'm going to put the radar on just so it's something you may be a little bit more familiar with. So Crumpton, you're hearing that rain picking up in intensity right now. Sudlersville, you could hear that picking up in intensity, as well as Massey going up 301 up towards Massey. Price, I think you're okay. Barclay, I think you're okay. Kennedyville, this storm is just to the south of you. This tornado warning just to the south of you. Down towards Crumpton, you're not in that tornado warning. However, that storm is starting to extend toward 301. Massey, that rain is picking up in intensity for you as well. Tornado warning still continuing for about 8 or so minutes. Not seeing too much. It's looking more just like a severe thunderstorm to me at this point. However, there was still a slight indication that this storm could be rotating. Waiting to hear word from the National Weather Service as to what their plans are for this storm. But staying on the air with you, I want to go ahead and switch over just to show you that tornado watch that has filtered into our system here at WJZ. We do have that tornado watch that continues until 10 p.m. So again, 10 p.m. we've got a tornado watch in place. So we could see some storms that try to rotate again with this system that is moving through this afternoon and this evening. So you're seeing that from areas of Carroll County, Montgomery County, Howard County to the east and to the south. We've got that tornado watch. We did have a severe thunderstorm watch that was in place, but now we have a tornado watch that has been issued for our area. And just so you know the difference between a watch and a warning, because we've got both out there right now, that watch is telling you heads up, we've got some storminess that is on the way, and some of these storms could try to rotate. Conditions are favorable for storms to rotate and try to spin as we're going through this afternoon and evening. The next couple of hours, neighborhood, make sure you already have a plan in place for what to do if a severe thunderstorm warning is issued, if a tornado warning is issued. But we do have a warning in place because we have that rotation indicated by the radar. So folks who are in that warning need to have been taking heed to what is going on. You probably got an alert to your phone, and we are still watching that tornado warning that is in place for at least the next 5 or so minutes for a very small portion of the eastern shore. And in fact, just zooming in, this storm is starting to outrun the warning box just a little bit. They keep shaving it down. Our neighbors in Chestertown dealing with some of that storminess right now, but it's continuing to push off to the east. As I pause it, I'm going to zoom out just a little bit, just to go downstream. Again, we mentioned Crumpton, we talked about Ewingville, we talked about Massey, Millington. You're also downstream from this storm as well. So we aren't seeing the rain coming down quite as heavy in some of those areas. Chestertown, that rain on the west side of town, probably easing up just a bit. I want you to still take a couple of minutes after that rain wraps up before you head outside to see if anything has happened in your neighborhood. I need you to just take a couple of extra minutes because of the lightning that we're also dealing with in this storm. It's pulling away from Chestertown. It's moving through Ewingville, around Morgue Neck. Maybe not the heaviest rain, maybe not the most lightning, but Morgue Neck, you're also dealing with some of that storminess as well. Getting down to street level once again, some of the heaviest rain coming down around 544, and then we're also heading to the west towards Kingstown, 544 meeting 213, some heavy rain in that area, along with a few lightning strikes as well. So still some active weather. Even if we aren't dealing with a tornado on the ground, we've got the potential, and this storm moving at about 20 miles an hour. It could also be dropping some hail. So I want to take a look at the hail indicator to see if we're dealing with any of that in and around where we are dealing with this tornado warning. It doesn't seem like the hail detector is picking up on too much, but it also does look like a new update from the National Weather Service. They will be allowing this to expire in 4 minutes. So I'm going to stick with you for 4 more minutes. But as far as the hail indicator goes, we are seeing it picking up on some small hail to the east of Rolfs, north of Church Hill. Church Hill around 213. We are seeing some of that hail being indicated in that area. So just a heads up that we may be dealing, even with this tornado warning expected to expire in less than 5 minutes, some small hail is still being detected with this storm as well. So just a heads up on that. It's not large hail, but certainly if you're not expecting it, could cause some issues as you are heading out. So again, we've got about 3.5 minutes left on this tornado warning for Kent and Queen Anne's counties. We're starting to see some of that storm pulling out of the warning box into Ewingville, Route 544, Route 290, around 301, 291, Crumpton, Millington, zooming out just a little bit, Massey, some moderate rain coming down there, but we're still watching around Chestertown. I want to zoom in just a little bit more to get a few of these street names. Perkins Hill Road, dealing with some of those heavier showers. Around Kingstown, dealing with that as well. High Street, still some rain coming down in that area. Around Chestertown, Foxley Manor, we're seeing some of those heavier showers coming down. Hawk Drive, dealing with some of those heavy showers right now. But as far as rotation goes, I'm just not seeing it. I haven't seen it for a little while, but this storm was trying to spin, and there was a report coming in of a rotating wall cloud in Maryland. So that is likely the reason that the National Weather Service pulled it and made this a tornado warning. And we're looking now at I-70 west of 270. I'm gonna go ahead, switch over to the radar, and I'm gonna zoom out just to show you what else is going on across the state. We do have a few storms to the west that we are dealing with. Again, we were just looking at 70 west of 270. No severe thunderstorm warnings in place around Baltimore, but we do have one in place for Frederick and a small portion of Montgomery County. But some heavy rainfall coming down if you're heading toward Frederick anytime soon from the Baltimore area, from around 695. Just know you are going to encounter some heavy rainfall. We could also be dealing with some gusty winds within this storm. No severe thunderstorm warnings issued for this cluster outside of the one that is currently in place for Frederick and Montgomery County. So just know we've got some heavy rain that is pushing toward Baltimore. We're expecting that with the humidity heading up, that heavy rainfall would be a concern. And you can see that traffic significantly slowed down as you're looking at I-70 there. So as we are wrapping up this tornado warning in the next minute or so, just know we could expect a few more storms to try and get a little bit stronger. But putting a loop on this, just a couple of areas to watch. We're still watching areas of Kent County, some very heavy rain coming down, moving off to the north and east toward the Delaware state line. But severe thunderstorm warnings, just one right now, Frederick, a small sliver of Montgomery County. But of course, we'll be keeping you updated as we go through the rest of the afternoon and into this evening. Today is a WJZ first alert weather day because of these storms moving in. We're heading toward that evening rush hour. More folks on the road, more heavy rain out there certainly will be impactful. So I'll be keeping you updated once again as we are going through this afternoon and this evening. If you don't have the CBS News app in place on your phone, it's a great tool. Make sure you bookmark WJZ.com. We'll be keeping that web story updated as we are going through the next few hours. So now we are wrapping up, honing in on 3:15. That tornado warning has come down. But of course, make sure you're tuning in to WJZ in 45 minutes for the top of the 4 o'clock news. I'll have another look at radar and what you can expect for the rest of the evening. Thanks for watching. Stay safe.